Welcome to A Leader's Journey, the podcast for leaders who deeply believe there is a better way to lead and desire to create their unique journey towards becoming a legacy leader. I'm your host, Shannon Hammond. Over the last 20 years as a corporate leader and leadership performance coach, I've learned that many leaders believe there is a predefined path they have to follow and struggle leaning into their unique gifts that will create lasting impact and fulfillment. They end up feeling stuck, unhappy, and unfulfilled in the day-to-day of their role, and are challenged with why, since they have experienced success in their career and in life. I'm here to help leaders think through their leadership journey, learn how to ask themselves better questions, and learn the formula to create their leadership journey by design. If you are ready to design your unique leadership journey, lead with confidence, and love the teams you lead, then you are in the right place. Let's do this. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about the concept of taking your boss's job. One of the common mistakes that I see aspiring leaders make is believing that in order to get promoted, the next step for them is to move into their boss's job. And some believe that that is actually the only step for them to move into a leadership position. Corporate America has pushed the concept of the corporate ladder on employees for decades. I've seen it throughout my entire career. Everybody always talks about wanting to run up the corporate ladder. You got to move up the corporate ladder. Individual leaders have also pushed the concept as well. And it's more than likely what your boss told you that you had to do, right? You were probably told that in order for you to move into a leadership position, you're going to need to lead the team that you're currently a part of. Some leaders are looking at it solely from their vantage point. They want to move up as well, and they recognize they need to train a replacement. They need to get someone prepared for the possibility of moving into their seat. And the first and most often place they look is their team, which makes a lot of sense, right? They're the people that you work with the most. They're the people that you see every day. And more than likely within your team, you have somebody that wants to pursue a leadership position. While the concept of moving to your boss's job and the corporate ladder may have found some success, it's not right for most individuals, nor is it the only way to quote unquote move up or find success within your organization. It's also not healthy for the organization and doesn't promote innovation, long-term career growth, and tenure in your staff. Career movement, in my opinion, is more like a jungle gym where you're moving around side to side, up and down within the organization. There isn't one way up, and for most people, moving into your boss's job just isn't the right role. Now, I know you're probably questioning what I'm telling you and thinking this is what I've been told by many leaders at all levels in my company, so now what do I do? I've been on this path to take my boss's job, and that's what I've been preparing for. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I think you already know that answer, and it may just be buried inside of you. So today I just want to talk through 5 traps of taking your boss's job to give you a different perspective and things to think about as you are deciding what is the right role for you. So let's dive in. Trap number 1, performing the work is different than leading the work. You are a high performer. That's why you're here listening to this podcast. And it's the reason you're exploring the next step in your career. You've mastered your role. You're probably at a point where you feel you could do it in your sleep. There aren't many questions that you can answer. The really tough issues are probably elementary to you. And you spend a lot of time mentoring and training team members. You hit the cap in your role where most days are smooth sailing and you're looking for the next opportunity of growth. All of that is great and is what made you a top performer in your role. But doing the work and leading the work are 2 totally different skill sets. As the individual contributor, you only need to focus on your responsibilities. Yes, you had to work together as a team and help many of your peers, but at the end of the day, and at your performance review, it was solely your work and the efforts that you were rated on. If others didn't perform, it wasn't going to reflect back on you. As the leader, you you're looking at the work through a completely different lens. You have to have a more strategic mindset versus a tactical mindset. Yes, there are things you need to do, but they are on a different scale. As the leader, your performance review is now mostly based on the performance of your team. You need to look at the work from a higher vantage point across the team of potentially 8 people or even more versus looking at just what's in front of you and what's on your plate for that particular day. You're not mainly focused on the how or the step by step processes of the work, but looking more at the why of the work. Is what your team doing efficient? Is the harmony of quality versus quantity of work at an acceptable level within your team? Is the appropriate training, resources, technology, etc., in place for the team to perform at the highest levels? How do you recruit for the role? Like, those are just some of the things that you have to think about. You're working less in the day-to-day execution of the work and more time in the short and long term strategic planning of the team. Just because you can do the work doesn't mean you can lead the work. And that's one of the things that I think it's a trap that aspiring leaders tend to fall in, is they think that it's the same. The second trap is shifting from an individual contributor to a leader is hard. The shift is going to be hard no matter the leadership role that you take. So I don't want to say that it's only hard if you lead the team that you were previously a part of. And it's one of the harder shifts for every new leader. You're now learning an entirely new role and mindset and having to take the habit of doing, and now you have to build the habit of leading. Within your current team, you are the master in performing your role. So it will be easy for you to just jump in and do the work if you're leading the team that you were previously a part of. So when a team member comes to you with an issue, you're going to be very tempted to just solve it for them. You'll think it will be quicker for you to just do it. And while in the short term that may be true, as a leader, your primary job is to play the long game. If you're just doing the work, you're not training your team and helping them develop the critical thinking skills they need to be successful in their role. And let's be honest, you need them to develop those skills in order for you to be successful in your role as a leader. When you are not the expert in the individual contributor's role, it is easier for you to stay curious, to ask questions, and you'll be less tempted to jump in and do it for them, honestly, because you just won't know how. The third trap is that you are now leading the people who were your peers. Well, you can 100% be successful in leading the individuals who are just your peers, and in some instances, your team may want you to be their leader. This is not always the case. One of the main challenges you'll have moving into a leadership role is changing how people view you. They used to see you as, quote unquote, one of them. You were their teammate, their lunch buddy, someone they can complain about the boss to or talk about personal issues with. You were in the same seat as them and could directly relate to the challenges and successes of the job. You jump in to help them out of a jam, give them peer-to-peer guidance on how to learn their role, but you were never responsible for their performance or had to hold them accountable for their work. As the leader, now all of that has changed. You are the leader, which means you may need to have some tough conversations right from the start with team members. There could be a person on the team who isn't performing, and it needs to be addressed from a disciplinary standpoint. You had helped them before, gave them guidance, but at the end of the day, if nothing changed, it wasn't your problem, but now it is. So stepping into that conversation, that person may still view you as their peer. They might get upset at why you didn't tell them before. Tell them that they may tell you that you have changed, and they probably feel that you no longer like them, and now you just want to get them fired. The workplace drama that comes with leading people. That's just part of being a leader and some of the conversations that you may have to step into. So your team may also not take you seriously. They may still talk to you as their peer and may even distance themselves from you because they're just unsure now what to do and say. One on ones could get uncomfortable. They may not want to share with you their career goals or believe you can help them grow. And then there's my favorite part of that is there's the peer who also applied for the same job you did and they didn't get it. No matter who they are, there are hurt feelings. Nobody likes to get turned away for a job. They believe they were more qualified than you, and they will be the first ones and probably the loudest ones on your team to be critical of every little thing that you do. Can you work through and overcome all of this? Absolutely. I did it multiple times in my career. It takes time, it takes patience, perseverance, a really thick skin, and massive amounts of confidence and clarity in who you are as a leader to work through that. Most people are not ready to take that on in their first leadership role. And to be completely honest, the leader you now report to may not be able to coach and develop you to take on that task. I know that's harsh to say, but they probably haven't experienced it themselves and they may not know how to coach you as a new leader through that challenge. So, just a side note, if you are going to interview for your boss's job, this is a great topic to approach in the interview and understand how your potential boss is going to support you through that transition and how they believe the team will respond to you going from their peer to now being their boss. So, the fourth trap that I see aspiring leaders fall into is the belief or the perception of you are the expert of the role. Okay, so we spent a lot of time on that last one, but it's one that was really important to consider. So diving into this trap, let's see how that goes. So seeing that you are now a top performer in your role and you are going to believe, and so will your team, that you know it all, that you are the expert in their role. And it's understandable that you and others would feel that way. You were a top performer before, you gained mastery in your role. You were the person that others went to with questions. It's not a bad thing until it is. You can easily mentor and support others, especially those new to the role. They will look up to you for their development and their growth. And while that is part of your role as a leader, it's more of your role to develop other great mentors. So you are building strength within your team. Again, all great things, but it will also blind and block your curiosity. It will hinder your ability to ask questions and will shut down many conversations around innovation and new ideas. Your team is going to look to you for the answers when they already have them, or they probably have better ones than you do. As a leader, you need to remain curious and drive innovation within your team. You need them to have the discussions about what is and isn't working and be able to generate their own ideas on how to solve them. I can guarantee you that even though you may have been a top performer, there is someone else on the team with better ideas than yours who just never spoke up. Maybe that's because they were intimidated by you or didn't feel it was their place because you were considered the go to person for new ideas. So when you take over as the leader, you could unintentionally continue to shut down those ideas, and the team is never going to grow to their fullest potential because of it. All right, on to trap number 5, last and most certainly not least. And I would say it's the most important trap that all aspiring leaders fall into. And that is, it's not the job you truly desire. Well, you want to move into a leadership role and you've taken the time to truly think this through. If you're being 100% honest with yourself, your boss's job may not be the role you truly desire. You're probably looking at it as an easy transition because you know the team and you know the work. Maybe the job is open because your boss got promoted or their peer is no longer in the role. So you figure, why not? The job is open. I want to be a leader. So you jump at the first opportunity that's in front of you. It sounds great in your head. Logically, it makes some sense. But what are you going to do when you get in the role and you're miserable? Yes, I said it, miserable. It's a very strong word. But if it's not the role you desire and fits your vision for the team you want to lead, then you should not apply. You're doing a disservice to yourself, but most importantly, to the people you are leading. If you are miserable, your team will be miserable, and that reflects back on you as the leader of the team. Your team won't be effective at their work, performance will decline, people will start to leave, and again, that finger gets pointed right back at you, and now you are seen as not effective or a capable leader. Your leadership career at this company is now more than likely over, and you're going to have to find another job. So most inspiring leaders, they don't realize and have never been told that they have a choice in the leadership role they pursue. The corporate expectation, especially if we went through, say, an internal leadership training program or development program, is that you apply for the next available leadership role no matter what. Well, maybe it's not said that blatantly, although sometimes it is absolutely implied in the messaging. And if it's not clearly stated that you get to choose your leadership role, it's natural that you will assume you have to take the next available opening. And sometimes people are desperate and they just want to apply for a role so they can get promoted. So I'll dive into this more in a future episode, but I'm going to say it now and you'll need to let it sink in. You get to choose and design your leadership journey. You and only you. And if you don't take on leadership roles you truly desire and say no to those you don't, then you will really need to think twice if being a leader is truly what you want. You may think that's harsh, but it's real. And my job as a coach is not to tell you what you want to hear, but to tell you what you need to hear and challenge you to perform at the highest levels of excellence. So those are the 5 traps of taking your boss's job. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying your boss's job isn't the right next step for you, but you do need to take the time to intentionally think it through. It could be the right fit and you'll knock it out of the park. On the other hand, it might not be, and moving into the role could be a career disaster. In working with my clients, I always recommend they journal and spend time in deep thought about what they envision for their future as a leader, and be completely honest with themselves, no matter how hard it is. There are questions that are not asked of future leaders, and most don't believe they get to choose and design their leadership vision. I find that many aspiring leaders have a block. They are seeing one path ahead of them, and they get stuck in the mindset of wanting to get promoted so bad they lose sight of what they truly desire. This is one of the many benefits in working with a coach who can help you work through those blocks, uncover what's inside of you, and help you in designing your leadership vision. If you are stuck in pursuing what's next and would like to work with me as your coach, you can click the link in the show notes and schedule your free leadership assessment session. During this time, we'll assess where you currently are, where you desire to go, and what may be currently standing in your way, and how you can work through it to attract the role you truly desire, lead with confidence, and love the team you lead. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today and talking through the 5 traps of taking your boss's job, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks for listening to A Leader's Journey podcast. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you're excited to learn more, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and tune in next week for another exciting leadership lesson. I'd love to help you level up your leadership, achieve the goals you desire, and design your unique leadership journey. So click the link in the show notes to schedule a free Level Up Your Leadership session. During this time, we will define where you are in several key areas of leadership, where you desire to be, and how you can level up your leadership. You don't need to do this alone, so let's chat today and get your journey started. Don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn or in the A Leader's Journey community on Facebook, and share this episode with another leader so we can all learn and grow together. That's all for this episode, and I'll see you next week. Until then, lead with confidence, show up every day as the leader you are striving to be, and make the decision today to level up your leadership this year.